Petrus Postma is the founder of Enflux, and as such, if I'm not mistaken, one of the founding fathers of the Dutch Hydrogen Valley that acts as an example for Estonia. And in that perspective, Margus has done quite a bit of consulting work for the Estonian government, ensuring that we develop an infrastructure consisting of production, transportation, storage, and utilization, if I sum it up correctly.
Very good.
Good, good, good. Well, you're going to give a presentation.
Yes, I am.
About your vision for Estonia. We're going to have a panel discussion later. Good, take it away.
Thank you. Let me take you on a journey through what's been happening in hydrogen in the Netherlands and see whether there is a market for it also for Estonia. And the simple thing is that we're starting in Rotterdam. Rotterdam Harbor, a harbor of 40 kilometers long, solely based on oil and gas. And that world is dying, it's ending. But still, Rotterdam will be a huge energy importer for the Dutch, but also for the German market in the long run. So we'll have to find alternative energy sources in the Rotterdam Harbor and for the Rotterdam Harbor in order to power and fuel the whole economy in the Netherlands and Germany and beyond. And there, hydrogen is one of the key energy components for a future-proof economy. And that's been recognized in Rotterdam, well, years ago already. And they have started on working on a coherent and integrated approach for the development of the hydrogen economy in the Rotterdam Harbor. And it is all about the backbone, because there is a backbone being prepared at this moment in time that will transport hydrogen from the harbor to the hinterland and to Germany. A huge hydrogen backbone with a huge transport capacity. And let me take you to the steps along that backbone. Because first off, at this moment there is a 100 megawatt electrolyzer being built by Shell at the harbor. So that's a 100 megawatt. And next year, a 200 megawatt or 250 megawatt one by BP will be initiated as well. And that will amount in the end to a 2 gigawatt electrolyzer park in the harbor of Rotterdam. And in addition to that, a huge amount of hydrogen import is being developed at this moment in time from countries like Chile, Morocco, and others. So we have enormous amounts of hydrogen coming in. And why do we do that? Well, in the first place, to use it for high temperature heating and as feedstock for industry. So the refineries we have in the Rotterdam Harbor will, to a large extent, go and work on green hydrogen. But then again, it will also be used as a fuel for trucks, heavy-duty trucks. So that's the next use case that is being prepared. And the third one is for the use for heating in greenhouses and other applications. And many more other applications will arise in time when we have that backbone running. And the first components of the backbone have already been ordered, are already waiting in the Rotterdam Harbor for the installation. So this is underway, and this is a multi-billion dollar investment, euro investment, right? So this is Rotterdam, and this is where the electrolyzer park is going to be realized. But this is Amsterdam. Amsterdam, as you may know, is one of the largest fuel harbors in Europe. It may even be the largest, I don't know for sure. But also we have Tata Steel. And Tata Steel will have to be converted to coal-based steel making towards hydrogen-based steel making. And this will take huge amounts of energy and of hydrogen. So in the Tata area, I don't know if I have a pointer. Yes. I did. is it gone? At the most, yeah, if you, Tata's over there. So there is a 100 megawatt electrolyzer in preparation. And further along the backbone, that's also being designed in the Amsterdam harbor, there are preparations for electrolyzers up to 500 megawatts. So basically the same story. And Amsterdam really focuses on using hydrogen for fuel and also for the production of kerosene, e-kerosene. So CO2 combined with hydrogen will produce kerosene for Schiphol Airport. So that's Rotterdam, that's Amsterdam. And then we go to Groningen. Same story. Also here, huge scale electrolyzers being prepared to use it as a feedstock for industry. And along the route, also here you see the backbone, and that route will be extended towards the province of Groningen, where a use cases in public transport and heavy duty and storage are being prepared as well. So 3 harbor areas in the Netherlands, 3 integrated hydrogen strategies. And this is about electrolyzers, it's about shipping, it's about heavy duty vehicles, it's about the transport facilities itself, it's about the storage in itself. And almost nothing of that whole system is in place yet. So this is where the question arises, where do we get the tech? Because in the Netherlands we have a huge economy based on oil and gas. We still have to transform that towards hydrogen. And we just don't have all the knowledge, we don't have all the hands to realize this transition. At the same time, hydrogen is a new market for everyone. And in this country, I noticed companies like H2 Electro, Stargate, Skeleton, Elcogen, and a lot of others that are already working on new value cases for hydrogen. This market in the Netherlands is huge. So this is a short list of the production, hydrogen production initiatives in the Netherlands. And they all still have to be built. And in a lot of these cases, the technology that's going to be applied in the electrolyzers isn't even chosen yet. And I was talking about huge scale electrolyzers, 100 megawatt and up to 500 megawatt a moment ago. But don't forget that the integrated economy in the rest of the country also has a transition to go through. And there they are looking at decentralized electrolyzer from 1 up to 20 megawatts to be used in all kinds of cases. So we have decentralized solar parks in combination with the wind parks in the vicinity of places where we need fueling stations. These are the places where we are looking for the smaller scale electrolyzers to be applied in the broader Dutch market as well. Storage is of course a huge challenge, so we have several projects on the way on that field. And this is only slide 1 of 3, I'm just showing you this one, of mobility projects under development in the Netherlands. So we don't know yet in which specific use cases for mobility hydrogen will win the market, but we know, for instance, that for dump trucks, for long-range public transport, for long-haul heavy-duty transport, hydrogen is the solution. So at this moment, a huge amount of companies in the Netherlands are retrofitting their trucks and buses to prepare for this hydrogen economy. And I think that retrofitting market is also one for Estonia. We have a huge amount of ships, trucks that would be and could be running for a very long time still, but on diesel or other fuels you don't want anymore. So retrofitting in this mobility market is, I think, a very big case. This is a short list of the companies in the Netherlands that are working on this whole challenge. So yes, we are a bigger country. Yes, we have a lot more companies. But this is just to show that this market is already very, very active in the Netherlands. And these are our overall goals: to have 4 gigawatt of electrolyzers installed by 2030, and 11 gigawatt offshore wind by 2030. That goal is revised at this moment, and it's now 20 gigawatt. So we want 20 gigawatt of offshore wind by 2030 in the Netherlands, and subsequently the ambition for the electrolyzers is being upped as well. But I don't know who of you were at the last speech of Edwin van der Brug regarding offshore wind, and he was also telling about the upscaling of the ambitions. 4 gigawatt in 2030 is already a huge challenge. We have no idea how we are going to realize that, and putting up any more ambition may not be that realistic, but it does show that there is a huge market. And this push not only comes from government, this push really comes from the Shells and the BPs and the high CCs and the really large corporates and multinationals that understand and see this is the way to go. And you'd better be the first mover, because then you get the subsidy schemes, and you are the first to learn how to work with it. You are the first to get the people working on it, and that's a challenge as well, right? Workforce. No idea how we're going to manage this. So in essence, for the Netherlands, it's a huge market that is being developed at top speed at this moment. But it's not only about the Netherlands. If you look at Denmark, they actually had the first hydrogen valley. So we're always telling that it is the Netherlands that had the first hydrogen valley. But at that time in Denmark, there already was an initiative called Hydrogen Valley, working on an integration of refineries, storage, energy projects in order to use hydrogen, again, mostly as a feedstock for fuels, so methanol and kerosene. So also in the Danish case, we have huge amounts of investments. And it's not only the Netherlands and Denmark, it's also Germany. In several regions in Germany, there are so many projects being prepared, again, mainly in production, storage, and use for industry and mobility. Estonia as well, and this is something I really like talking about, because I have been responsible for the development of the hydrogen strategy for Port of Tallinn, and I've been working on the hydrogen action perspective for the aviation cluster, and from there I started the Hydrogen Valley Estonia approach together with 11 partners, 7 of the largest companies in the country, 3 regions and the University of Tartu. We have identified all the hydrogen-related larger scale projects that are being developed at this moment in time. So these amount up to more than 30 at this moment in time. And for every one of these projects, you can say that you can develop them individually, but that won't work. Because if you have a simple electrolyzer at a solar field, you won't have enough energy in winter to supply a fueling station. So for that, you will need another partner that will guarantee we will get you the hydrogen in winter. Okay, but then we should look at it at a larger level and see where are we going to get the rest of the hydrogen. Well, for that we need an import terminal. And if we have an import terminal, then we can start thinking about a backbone in Estonia. So this is what we are working towards with all these companies and regions. We are identifying the projects, see how they relate to each other, can we get the synergies in place, how are we going to work together with each other in a new market, in a new integrated way of thinking. And very important, of course, we have applied for a European subsidy. That European subsidy is framed under the name Hansa Hydrogen Hubs, and together with Netherlands and Denmark and Germany, we have applied for a subsidy that will help us accelerate the whole valley strategy, accelerate the projects in Estonia as well. What you see is that these backbones I showed in the Netherlands and in Denmark are actually part of a larger European strategy. So the whole red line you see is a European strategy in order to get this hydrogen economy accelerating in the north of Europe and other regions as well, of course. And that backbone should be operational by 2030. So when we are talking about and evaluating hydrogen economy for the market, we can say that, well, in the Netherlands we are quite far ahead, and we have a huge amount of projects that we don't know even yet where are we going to get the tech and the people and the knowledge. But there's a huge driving force behind it. In Estonia, we are a few years. We have a few years of catching up to do, but that's going very fast. For instance, we can now present our Hydrogen Valley strategy in Estonia, but our first steering group meeting was only in April of this year, so we are really ramping up and getting to the same level. In the end, I think that for all the components, for all the parts, for all the integrations we need in the hydrogen economy, there will be a huge market in Northwest Europe, and that I don't know how that can be satisfied yet, but there's a lot of work to do. And this is the sailing boat of Rotterdam, just to give you an idea at the end of my talk about how large that hydrogen import strategy is. Port of Rotterdam is aiming for 20 million tons of hydrogen to be imported and transported by 2050. And you see the ramp up we need for that. Rotterdam is going all over the world for import projects to acquire that hydrogen and also to use as much possible offshore wind to transform that into hydrogen. But we will need, in the end, much more hydrogen than we produce. And here we have really a value case for Estonia, because with your 7 gigawatts offshore potential, you have the potential to produce far more hydrogen than you as a country can use. So in the end, what is the market outlook for hydrogen economy from an Estonian point of view? One, a lot of questions in the north of Europe there are no answers to. A huge amount of workforce needed in order to realize it. A huge challenge for retrofitting, so many installations and ships and the like to realize this. And in the end, sell the hydrogen you can produce internationally. That's it.
Goody, goody. Thank you, Petrus, for a very inspiring presentation. First of all, let me see if there are any questions from the audience at this stage. You do. Marek, you have a question.
Thanks. Petrus, I see you're the head of the Department of Applied Research.
Yeah.
Is that so?
Yes. It's amazing.
Wow. I didn't need.
You're getting more titles.
Yeah. Well, I feel comfortable in that role.
No, it's good. Actually, question as well. Then, you showed all of these very large-scale projects. Now, how do we bring over the experience, the lessons learned already while they're going on, not just the end report of, oh, this didn't work? So how do we now fast-tracking Estonia, as we need to, very fast. We don't have this learning curve time that the others had, because, the half of the world is burning already. So how do we get all of this know-how, experience, lessons learned, best practices, standards, all of those things over to here as fast as possible now?
Yep, good question. I think what's already happening is that you were with a large delegation at a wind meets gas hydrogen conference in the Netherlands last week. So this is how knowledge transfer starts up. We have Tallinn Airport that is very interested in what is happening at Groningen-Eelde Airport in the Netherlands, where there is already a huge solar field and an electrolyzer is being installed. Where we also already use ground power units and pushbacks, I think, on hydrogen. So there's a lot of interaction at this moment between Estonia and the Netherlands to learn what companies are doing what and why are they doing that and how can we learn from that. But to even realize that in a structural way, we have started this Hansa Hydrogen Hubs because we want really to invest in knowledge dissemination and communications in the north of Europe in order to get everyone on the same level. And that's in the interest of the Netherlands as well, right? Because they want that hydrogen. So they need to get this country up to speed on hydrogen technology. Otherwise, they won't be able to produce it and export it to the Netherlands and Germany and these other countries.
Good, good. Now, to put things into perspective, Petrus, you told me once that, and you've told us here as well, that the Netherlands is 4 steps ahead in terms of hydrogen development compared to Estonia. How should I read that? Does it mean in terms of planning and ambition and design, or is it also the underlying technology? In other words, you showed us that list of Dutch companies contributing already to the Dutch ecosystem. How do they look in terms of fundamental knowledge and their capacity to transform that into commercial products compared to the Estonian players like Elcogen, Stargate, etc.?
Yeah, I think in that regard, we are quite at the same level.
We are. That's encouraging.
You have startups and scale-ups that really can make a difference in the whole hydrogen market. Yes, we have them as well in the Netherlands. And what we do have in the Netherlands are several test sites where small and medium enterprises, but also larger companies can bring their new materials and their new components and test them. I don't think, Tartu University has something like that, but that would really benefit your acceleration of knowledge on hydrogen. But in the end, I think that what's happening from Taltech and from Tartu University and the companies that arise from there, that's very impressive. And you're not that far behind. But yes, you are in terms of planning, cooperation, large project development.
Okay, now something about the ambitions of the Netherlands. 4 gigawatts by 2030, and some very large electrolyzer projects having been lined up. 100 megawatts from Shell, I believe, 200 from BP. Once these projects get operational, it starts going fast. But can you tell us about the current installed base of electrolyzers in the Netherlands? How many megawatts are we talking about?
I think what's installed at this moment amounts to, for green hydrogen, I think amounts to about 100 megawatts. And a lot small ones, but several larger ones already installed related to industry. Okay. So in industry there are several 20 and 40 megawatt electrolyzers installed. But the difference I think between Estonia and the Netherlands is that we have been working with hydrogen in industry for a very long time already. Because in our chemical industry and in our fuel industry, hydrogen has been a component or a feedstock for a very long time already. So we know a lot about how to handle it, how to put health, safety, environment measures around it. That's the difference, I think.
Okay, interesting. I think it's time for a panel discussion, unless there are currently, yes, please.
Hello, I would like to ask about your insight or idea in terms of this backbone in general for the long purpose in Europe. How would you see, would this backbone be and the hydrogen supply would be centralized, or there is an opportunity for decentralized systems, local production, storage, usage for smaller households, industries, and so on, for example? Or would it be in the future, maybe 10, 20 years, still financially feasible more in order to get the hydrogen from the pipeline, for example, as we are used to with the gas pipes today, if you get the point which I'm taking it?
What you have seen me talking about is really huge scale, large backbones, and is there room for decentralized solutions and the like, and will they be competitive? Well, for instance, in Groningen there's a solar plant combined with wind, I thought, that has an electrolyzer in place and that fuels a fueling station for trucks. That's a small scale project in itself. I think the electrolyzer was around half a megawatt. And they get their security of supply from other players in the neighborhood. So sometimes they don't have enough and they can buy from other suppliers. In the end, this backbone will guarantee the operation of all these small scale use cases. And especially in Estonia, I think that in Hiiumaa for grid balancing, but also in the smaller rural areas in Estonia, hydrogen as a storage for energy can be a really feasible solution. So in the end, I think that in Estonia, decentralized solutions will come to the market, and they will benefit from that large-scale availability through the backbone.
Any other questions at this point? Yes, we do.
Thank you. Aivar Usk, Electronics Industries Association. As far as I've heard, the idea to produce hydrogen is meant for the time when the energy prices are extremely low or even negative. But even then, there should be some sort of cost price because the equipment still will reduce its capabilities. So I would ask, considering the extremely low energy return on energy investment of hydrogen, how would the end user prices look like? Is it going to be cheaper than current fossil fuels or same level or higher? Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Good question. Before all this shit with Ukraine started, there were the first projects where the production price was aimed at 7 euros per kilogram. That's still far too expensive in a lot of use cases, but it was already seen as maybe competing in the mobility market. Companies like Tata Steel say, well, hydrogen has to cost somewhere between 1 and 2 euro per kilogram in order to make it economical for us. So that's our huge steps to go. And we do think the energy or hydrogen prices will go down with scaling up and getting more experience. But there's another way to look at it, because as long as you relate it to the electricity price, you don't have all the controls over pricing. What we also see is that there are companies now developing dedicated offshore projects or onshore projects integrated with an electrolyzer based on a long-term offtake agreement with a third party. And then it's not the electricity price, but just the capex and the OPEX related to the offtake agreement that sets the business case. And that's a new way of working, a new way of approaching the hydrogen production market that may be very, well, lead to stability in the market, and that may have a place as well. And at this moment, green hydrogen is being sold for 15 up to 25 euros per kilogram, and that cannot be seen as commercial.
For a simple soul like myself, it means that a joint facility of power generation and hydrogen with a long-term perspective, it could tackle the dilemma between electricity producers needing high prices and hydrogen producers needing low ones. Thanks for that.